a player, you don't know that many major chords. We hang out in the...
Hi, welcome back to Sabertooth Pottery. Today's video, we're going to be trimming our mugs. And I know I said in my last video that we were going to be putting handles on our mugs, but I forgot we need to trim our mugs first, and then we can go ahead and put the handles on them. So that will actually be the next video. So if you're new to my channel and you're interested in clay tutorials or videos on how to work with clay or anything clay related, you can click like and subscribe in the little notification button, and you'll get little notifications of when I post new videos, and you can browse through my playlists and see the other videos that I've already made. Like in our bowl trimming video, I just want to say that you don't necessarily have to trim your bottom. Some people don't, and you don't also have to make a foot. You can just have the bottom of your piece flat. However, that's a little difficult if the bottom of your piece is too thick, because if it's too thick then it can crack or explode in the kiln, and most people trim anyways because it just looks a lot better. So before we get started, let's go over our tools real quick. Sorry if my tools are dirty, I'm a dirty bitch. We're going to use our triangle tool, our little triangle trimming tool, our double-sided ribbon tool with the triangle and the round side. I like this tool, it's like a little dentist's cleaning tool. And then we have our ribbon tool with the beak shape. So if you have everything and you're ready, let's go ahead and get started. So first, one of the first things I want to mention, like with our bowls, we want to leave these to dry a little bit. You don't want to trim them when they're too wet and tacky. So what I do is, if it's summertime, I'll leave these outside, upside down, because the most important part that you want to get dry is the foot. And I'll leave them outside, sometimes in the direct sun, or just, you know, in the shade, because it's nice and hot and windy where I live in summertime, and that's what these guys need to dry up quickly and evenly. If it's winter time, you're probably going to leave them inside with a plastic cover lightly over them, upside down. And it could take anywhere between a couple hours to a couple days for them to dry to leather hard. So we have our 4 shapes here. Go ahead and pick whichever one you want. I'm going to do the double bubble mug first. Remember to feel with one hand inside and one hand outside how thin your bottom is. Generally, when you put your hand inside and your hand outside, your fingers can kind of tell how far apart they are. So you'll know approximately how much you want to cut. This bottom here is probably only about that thick, so I don't want to take off too much. And this mug might look really pretty with a flat bottom, actually. So we could do a flat bottom for this one, which I haven't shown yet, so why don't we go ahead and do that. I don't want too narrow of a foot, because the more narrow your foot is, the more likely your piece is to tip. Let's just bring our marker, a nice useful thumbnail, to right about there, and we'll score that, and just follow the shape of the bubble here to make our foot. Alright, go ahead and center your piece. So here's one thing I don't think I've mentioned before. When centering your piece, you want to make sure that the part you're centering is the closest to your foot. You don't want to center down here, because a lot of times when we're moving the bowl around or when we just throw it, it warps a little. It's never going to be perfect. It most usually is not perfectly centered. So the closer we are to the foot, the better it is for our center. So remember, you don't have to do it this way. This is just how I've learned how to do it. It works the best for me. It's like using the needle tool, which I would recommend for a beginner. The part that gets scored is the part that's sticking out too much. So the middle of the part that gets scored is what you're going to want to push. And you don't have to push very much. Push like a millimeter each time, because sometimes you overpush and you're just sitting here trying to center your thing over and over and over. So for me though, like using the needle tool, I just use my finger and I feel where it's sticking out, and where my finger moves the most, that's where I feel that it needs to be pushed. I go along with the angle of where I'm pointing, and that's the direction I push. Okay, so let's anchor. Put your thumb on top and your hand on this side, so that way if you're pushing your anchor down, you don't accidentally push your cup. And don't ever push the anchor towards the cup. Push down and away. It's very possible that as you're doing this, I just wanted to warn you, you might cut through the bottom of your piece. Let's get our needle tool, and I'm just going to score where my fingernail marking was. Continuing with our beak tool, I'm going to take off just a little bit of the edge here, just so I have less to trim with my other tools. So what I just did there was I took my finger and I gently just pushed in, and just to kind of smooth it a little bit. And I'm gonna just kind of go over the outside here and just peel off a little bit, kind of smooth it up. Just a little bit. Okay, let's take it off the wheel and see what our bottom feels like. It's a little bottom heavy, and that's probably gonna happen to you as well. It's really common when you're first starting that your piece is likely to be kind of bottom heavy, and that's okay. So you can just practice trimming little by little until you get where you want. And this is a great way to gauge how much to trim and how much to not. And a lot of the times when you're gonna do that, you're going to ruin your piece, but it's better to do it and learn how to do it correctly than to not do it at all because you're too afraid to lose a piece. I lost a lot of pieces in the beginning from over trimming. But it was worth it because then I could really learn how to get where I needed to be. So I'm going to mark right here and right here because that's where the thickness starts, and I'm just gonna shape that up a bit. So recenter and re-anchor. And I'm just going to use my needle tool where I scored it with my fingernail as reference where I should be cutting. It's even more of a bubble shape, so it doesn't look like it's just cut off. We do have a really narrow foot here, so let's see how it sits. That is so much better. That is so much better. Like this whole cup, it still feels a smidge bottom heavy, but you know, when we put the handle on, the thicker part's gonna be on the top and that's gonna even it out. This is much better. The bottom is about the same thickness now as the top. So there's our beautiful, beautiful double bubble mug. I'm happy with that one. So we're gonna set him aside, and I'm going to do this guy next. Go ahead and center and anchor. We got a thick bottom here, so let's take off quite a bit. And to do that, usually I tell you to roll your tool, but for this, we're gonna take the beak part of our beak tool and I'm gonna center it and use my finger to anchor it, and I'm actually gonna pull towards the outer edge, using only the beak end to trim, not the whole piece. And that's gonna get us nice and flat. Okay, and then I'm gonna score where I want my foot. And take off the outside first. I'm going to use our triangle ribbon tool. I'm pushing directly down towards the wall. And once you hit the wall, stop, and then just trim up the wall a little bit so it's nice and straight. And then, if you have your chamois tool, which I forgot to mention, we can use that guy to actually just clean up the bottom here without using our other tools, and that'll get it nice and smooth. Make sure your chamois wet, by the way. Alright, let's see how thin we are. So real quick, I just want to say something, and you can do this too if you ever want to. And that is, if you want to clean up this part a little bit more, you can turn your piece upside down and anchor it and clean up this part too. That's what I'm going to do really quick because I don't really like this kind of flat edge here. I'm going to smooth that out a little bit because when you drink it, it's going to feel a little bit better on your mouth with a rounded edge as opposed to a blunt edge. So before going into hyperlapsing this one, I just wanted to talk about this one really quick. This is going to be like a teacup bottom. And so instead of having your traditional vertical foot, this one's actually going to flare outwards. So we want it kind of going away from the cup at a diagonal angle. So I'm going to trim it so that it looks like that. And so it's essentially the same as just trimming your vertical foot, except for this one's going to be going at a slant. We have our 4 mugs. Again, if you have any unanswered questions from this video, because I know this video, as we progress, I give you less and less information, because I feel like at this point you're branching out and you're kind of feeling what works for you and what your style of pottery is. I'm not answering as many questions because I just want to show you what you can do, and I kind of want you to start to figure things out on your own. So if you feel like that you've gotten to this point and you still have a lot of questions, you can go back and watch my previous videos where I'm a little bit more explanatory. But as we go on, I'm going to start doing more demonstration and less talking. So don't be afraid to ask questions if you do have any questions about these different kinds of cups. Our next video is going to be putting handles on these mugs. And so before we get there, since we're not ready to do that yet, we do want to keep these nice and leather hard for putting our handles on. So what we're going to do is we're going to put them back on their little board or whatever you're storing your pottery on. And I'm going to use my spray bottle here, and I'm going to wet the board a little. And then I'm going to put these guys on upside down. I'm going to spritz them a little too, so that they're still damp. And then I'm going to spray our plastic here so everything's nice and damp. That's what we want. And then I'm going to gently wrap these. You want to make sure that no air is getting in. So these are nice and wrapped. My studio is nice and cool, so things tend to not dry very quickly in here. In fact, I have cups in here from weeks ago that are still damp because I covered them well. It's cool in here, it's damp in here, and I sprayed them enough that they stayed nice and moist. So until we're ready, we're going to keep these guys in here. I would say probably the best time to put handles on them would be today or tomorrow. So our next video, we are going to put handles on them, and until then, we're just going to store them like this. So I hope that anything I missed in the bowl trimming video was included in today's video. I hope this clarifies up a little bit more on how to trim your foot and different ways that you can do it. I look forward to seeing you on our next video where we're going to be pulling handles and putting them on our mugs. I hope you're as excited as I am. I will see you in the next video. Bye!
I don't need you here to feel good.